Alright, my name is Tom. In this video, let's talk about why most people never make their first sale online. Let's talk about this, okay? So in this video, let's talk about it. Maybe perhaps you are building a landing page, or maybe you never heard of what a landing page does. It's okay. So I'm gonna break it down. But in this video, let's talk about why most people never make their first sale. Okay? A lot of them don't really understand this kind of thing that I'm about to share. So the offer, target audience, offer, target audience, messaging. Okay, messaging is important, and funnel. What else? And traffic. Okay, I think the biggest one where people are struggling is not the offer. Okay, what they're mostly struggling on is target audience, messaging, which funnel to use, and which traffic. Okay, so this video, let's go deep into towards target audience. Okay, now you probably heard this in the space, right? Like target buyers, right? Yes, buyers are crucial, but there's different types of buyers. There's different levels of buyers. Okay, just because you're focusing on buyers doesn't mean, even though if you have it on your email list or you're doing social media, for example, just because you think they're buyers doesn't mean they're buyers. I'm going to explain why. Okay, now let's focus on the target audience. This is crucial. Okay, when it comes towards buyers, we're going to go deeper towards this. What kind of, do you truly know who your customer avatar is? Okay, like basically a customer avatar is crucial. You want to have this with you at all times because this is going to reinforce who you're actually polarizing towards that unique audience. Okay, so a custom avatar is the messaging aspects of talking specifically towards a sub niche. Okay, so now when it comes towards buyers, there's different types of buyers. They are beginners. Okay, there are advanced. There are people who are familiar, skeptics. Okay, so you guys can see how we're breaking down the buyer's aspects. Okay, now depending on where you are and depending on which business that you guys are in. Okay, if you guys are in the food home business, for example, these are irrelevant. Okay, this is what I mean by reducing these kind of aspects when it comes to words, what kind of business that you're actually in. Okay, so let's say, for example, you are creating content, or maybe perhaps you are doing affiliate marketing, right? So you guys can see when we talked about going a bit deeper into towards it, there's different buyers in towards this market. Okay, there are people who are beginners. Okay, there are people who are advanced. Okay, so let's say, for example, when it comes towards the target audience, when it comes towards the buyers, right? I would definitely say this, that the majority of people who are in this space, why most people never make their first sales is because they're already focusing on advanced people, or people who are already familiar, or people who are a bit skeptic. Okay, so what happened is that when they're too focused here, right, they are already they are already know what your business is all about. Okay, but look what happens. Okay, look what happens when you are focusing here. Okay, this is when you educate. These are people who are unaware, open-minded. Okay, so from here you can definitely see now that the majority of beginners never make their first sale online is because they fail to understand the target audience, even though they know that they got to focus on the buyers. But most people in this space, they'll be focusing too much on the advanced, the familiar, and skeptics. Okay, there are different levels of where you're supposed to focus on, if that makes sense, right? But when we go a bit deeper on towards different types of buyers, there are beginners, advanced, familiar, and skeptics. So depending on if you are a beginner and trying to making your first sale online, focus here. Okay, it's the most hardest one to focus on because you have to go and educate your people and your audience. Okay, once you get better, once you start training your the beginners when it comes towards this awesome space, what happens is that then you can actually train them other advanced stuff, because you have to think of like this, like if you're focusing on an audience who are already familiar towards, like, let's say uh like an AI tool, and all these people are familiar with it, what happened is that you're targeting the wrong audience. They're already familiar towards that offer, if that makes sense. But if you are focusing on right here and you're focused on generating your first sale, and right here is that you guys can actually focus on people who are beginners. Okay, so then from here is that you can actually educate, and this is the most hardest one. But once you are persistent and consistent on creating your own content and actually educating them, okay, and I just also want to put teachable. Okay, this is another handy skill that you should definitely know. Okay, and remember, these people are unaware. They're unaware of what your offer is. And people who are open-minded that you want to focus on, such as aspiring entrepreneurs, for example, right? And then once you start doing that, okay, once you start focus on it, then you can go and focus on the advanced aspects of it, because now they are familiar, right, towards what you are teaching them. You see how we're breaking down the buyer's aspects, right? You're not going to learn this from other so-called gurus in this space, because they're not they just talk about, like, oh yeah, just get leads, right? You probably heard that, get leads, or try out like some type of traffic source such as like a solo ad, and buy this, buy that. But what the problem with like solo ads is that it's not consistent traffic. Okay, there are strategic ways to do solo ads unless you have like a huge amount of ad budget and ad spend, then you can do solo ads in a strategic way. I'll show you guys how to do it. But in this training, okay, why most people never make their first sale online is because they fail to understand the target audience. Once you understand your target audience, the messaging becomes clearer. And once you have that messaging, then you can create that funnel. Okay. And from here, in my next training, we'll go even deeper when it comes to traffic. Okay. But in this case, I see that why most people never make their first sale online is because even though they're focusing on a target audience, they are focusing on buyers, but they are stuck in this kind of buyers stage. And they think that, oh, just because somebody is giving out their credit card doesn't mean. You have to break it down. Once you break it down, there are different types of buyers, okay? There are people who are beginners, advanced, people who are already familiar, and skeptics. So you want to focus on here, the beginners aspects of it. You want to educate and be advised. They're unaware of what your offer is. They're open-minded and become teachable, okay? Yeah, so I just wanted to go and create this video, and hopefully it helps somebody who is trying to make their first sale online. And if you guys can truly understand this, you'll go far. Okay. On top of that, check out my 7-part free training series. It's below this video or somewhere above this video. And yeah, check it out. I'll see you guys in the next one.